You've been fasting, staying disciplined, maybe even skipping breakfast, but the belly fat won't budge. You've tightened your eating window, pushed through hunger, watched the scale, and still, nothing moves. It's frustrating because you're doing everything right. You're fasting right. That should burn fat. But here's the truth most people miss. Fasting alone doesn't guarantee fat loss. There's one subtle mistake that stops your progress, and it hides inside something you probably think is healthy. It's your protein, not the kind of protein, but the timing and how you eat it. When you get this wrong, you unknowingly spike insulin even if you haven't had a bite of sugar. That insulin surge quietly shuts down fat burning, tells your body to store energy instead of releasing it, and leaves you wondering why your fast stopped working. You might be breaking your fast with the wrong protein or eating it at the wrong time. You might be using that clean protein shake or lean chicken breast thinking you're fueling your muscles when what you're really doing is locking fat inside your cells. And if insulin is high, your body cannot burn fat, no matter how long you fast. In this video, we're going to fix that. I'll show you the #1 protein timing trick that makes fasting finally work, the one that stabilizes insulin, protects your muscle, and reactivates your fat-burning metabolism. Once you learn how to eat protein the right way, your fasting rhythm finally clicks. Your body starts burning deep visceral fat, your energy steadies, and the scale finally starts to move in the right direction. You start fasting, and at first it feels like magic. The scale drops, your clothes loosen, and you feel that sharp mental clarity that fasting gives. But then it stops. The same fasting window that once melted fat suddenly does nothing. You tighten it more, maybe go from 16 to 20 hours, maybe skip dinner instead of breakfast, but the results stall. It's not that fasting has failed you, it's that your metabolism has adapted. When you fast, your body switches from burning glucose to burning fat. That's the goal, but if you're not protecting your muscle with the right nutrients, the body starts scavenging from wherever it can to fuel itself, and it often picks your lean tissue. Muscle isn't just for strength or shape, it's a metabolic engine. The more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolism. When fasting breaks that down, metabolism slows and your fat-burning rhythm weakens. You're fasting longer, but burning less. Here's the twist most people don't see. It's not just about how long you fast, it's about how your insulin behaves during and after that fast. Insulin is the gatekeeper that decides whether your body releases fat or locks it away. If insulin is even slightly elevated from the wrong food, the wrong protein, or the wrong timing, fat burning shuts off. Your cells get the signal, store energy, don't release it. This is why fasting alone eventually stops working. When you don't protect your muscle with strategic protein intake, the body becomes defensive. It senses energy scarcity, slows thyroid output, and increases cortisol, the stress hormone that tells your body to hold on to fat. You may feel tired, moody, and stuck, even though you're fasting harder than ever. That's your body saying, "I'm not safe. I need to conserve." Insulin control is the missing piece. When insulin levels stay low and stable, fat can be released from storage. But if you break your fast with a high insulin protein like whey isolate or lean protein powders, you get an insulin surge almost as strong as eating sugar. It happens fast and silently. You don't feel it, but your body does. Fat burning stops for several hours, and your metabolism slows even more. The result, you're doing the right thing fasting, but you're undoing it the moment you eat. The body can't burn fat in the presence of insulin, no matter how disciplined your fasting window is. That's why people who have fasted for months suddenly plateau. Their insulin rhythm never stabilizes. Think of your metabolism like a campfire. When fasting works, fat is the steady log that keeps the fire burning slow and strong. But if you burn muscle instead of fat, you're throwing away the logs that keep the fire going. Eventually, the flame weakens. You can't just fast harder, you have to feed smarter. Muscle tissue signals the body to keep metabolism high. It tells the brain, "I'm strong, I'm active, I'm safe, we can burn energy freely." When you protect muscle during fasting, you keep that signal alive. But if your body senses that it's losing muscle, it does the opposite. It stores energy, slows fat release, and protects what's left. That's when fasting stops working. People often think fasting is all about not eating, but the truth is, the refeed matters just as much as the fast. If that first meal triggers insulin too high, it can undo hours of fat burning. The goal isn't just to extend your fast, it's to extend your low insulin state even after eating. That's where the right protein timing comes in. Fasting is a tool, not a punishment. It trains your body to burn fat efficiently, but only if insulin stays low and muscle stays protected. Without those two anchors, fasting turns from a fat burning strategy into a muscle burning mistake. Once you understand how to balance protein timing with your fasting rhythm, everything changes. Your metabolism wakes back up, fat loss restarts, and you no longer have to fight your body, you finally work with it. When most people think about insulin, they think of sugar, sweet foods, carbs, desserts. But here's the surprising truth. Protein, especially certain types, can trigger an insulin response too. The body releases insulin not only when glucose rises, but also when specific amino acids, the building blocks of protein, enter the bloodstream. It's part of how your body protects muscle and manages energy. The problem is, if you mistime this response, you can block fat burning without realizing it. Let's simplify the biology. Your body runs on two main fuels, glucose and fat. Insulin decides which one you use. When insulin is low, your body pulls energy from stored fat. That's when fasting works its magic. But the moment insulin rises, fat burning stops. Insulin acts like a metabolic switch. When it's off, you're burning fat. When it's on, you're storing it. The goal isn't to avoid insulin completely, that's impossible, but to control when it shows up and how long it stays high. Now, enter protein. During a fast, your body is in repair mode, breaking down damaged cells, cleaning up old proteins, recycling waste through autophagy. But it also becomes protective. It wants to preserve lean tissue. When you finally eat, the body eagerly absorbs amino acids to rebuild muscle. That's good. However, the same amino acids that trigger muscle repair, especially leucine, isoleucine, and valine, also stimulate insulin. The degree of that spike depends on timing, type, and what you pair with it. If you break your fast with fast, digesting proteins like whey isolate or egg whites alone, insulin spikes rapidly. You might feel energized for a short while, but you've just turned off fat burning for several hours. The body shifts gears, store mode activated. The fat that was being released during your fast now gets locked back in. On the other hand, if you introduce protein strategically alongside healthy fats or fiber, or slightly later in your eating window, insulin rises gently, just enough to trigger repair without stopping fat release completely. This balance is delicate but powerful. Think of insulin as a volume knob, not an on/off button. You don't want it silent, you need it low and steady. Protein helps rebuild muscle, which keeps metabolism high. But mistimed or excessive protein pushes insulin too high, turning that knob all the way up and drowning out your fat burning signal. During fasting, insulin naturally drops. That's when your body opens the doors to fat stores, releasing triglycerides to be burned for energy. If you let insulin stay low long enough, you start tapping into visceral fat, the deep, stubborn fat around your organs. But if you reintroduce protein at the wrong time or in the wrong form, those doors slam shut. Even a healthy, post-fast protein shake can interrupt hours of fat release. That's why so many people fast all day, eat a clean meal, and still don't see fat loss. It's not about willpower, it's about timing. When you eat protein, insulin's job isn't to punish you. It's to shuttle amino acids into your cells where they rebuild tissue. The trick is to work with that process, not against it. You want a mild, controlled insulin rise just enough to trigger growth and repair, but not so high that fat storage resumes. This is where pairing protein with fats becomes so effective. Healthy fats like those from avocado, eggs, or salmon slow digestion, temper insulin's spike, and extend satiety. You stay full, your muscle rebuilds, and fat burning continues quietly in the background. Another key factor is when you eat your protein. After a longer fast, your body is insensitive, meaning it reacts strongly to even small signals. Breaking your fast with a small amount of fat first, or a broth, can prime your metabolism before protein enters. That gentle transition helps prevent a massive insulin surge. Later in your eating window, when the body is more stable, that's when protein can do its best work, repairing, strengthening, and stabilizing metabolism. Protein isn't the villain, it's the conductor of your metabolic orchestra. Too much too soon, and the music stops, fat burning ends, energy dips, cravings return. But when you use it wisely, protein becomes the very tool that keeps insulin balanced and fat loss active. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm. Once you understand how protein and insulin dance together, you can guide the process, letting fasting heal, letting protein rebuild, and keeping insulin right where it needs to be, calm, steady, and under your control. Most people who fast hit a wall not because they're lazy, but because they're unknowingly eating protein at the wrong time or in the wrong way. They've been told that protein is clean, safe, even essential for fat loss. And that's true, but only if your timing and portions are right. When they are not, the same protein that should be helping you repair and burn fat quietly turns into the reason your fasting stops working. The most common mistake happens right at the moment you break your fast. You've gone hours without eating, insulin has dropped, fat burning is in full swing, and then you reach for what you think is the perfect start. A protein shake, maybe whey isolate or egg white powder. It feels smart, light, healthy, low carb, but that shake sends a quick wave of amino acids into your bloodstream. Insulin spikes, and your body gets the message: stop burning fat, start storing. Within minutes, autophagy shuts off, fat release pauses, and your metabolism shifts from cleaning to building. You've just turned off your best fasting work with one healthy choice. Another mistake is eating protein too often throughout the feeding window. Many people graze, thinking small, frequent meals keep metabolism high. But with fasting, the opposite is true. Each time you eat, even if it's just a bite of lean chicken or a handful of nuts, insulin rises. The clock resets. Instead of staying in a low insulin, fat burning zone for several hours, you keep spiking and crashing, never allowing your metabolism to settle into repair mode. You might think you're eating clean, but your body never gets the quiet it needs to burn deep fat or sustain autophagy. Then there's the overcorrection, the idea that more protein is better. People end their fasts with massive protein meals, trying to make up for what they missed during the fasting window. Maybe it's a big portion of grilled chicken or a triple scoop protein shake, but excess protein doesn't build more muscle, it triggers more insulin. The body can only use so many amino acids for repair. The rest are converted into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. That glucose raises blood sugar, insulin follows, and fat burning shuts down. What started as a fast to burn fat turns into a mini feast that stores it instead. There's also a timing error many people miss: eating protein too early in the day. During fasting, your body's cortisol levels rise naturally in the morning. It's what helps you wake up and mobilize fat for energy. If you eat protein too soon, you layer an insulin spike on top of that cortisol surge. The combination drives energy into storage mode, not burning mode. That's why breaking your fast later, when cortisol has stabilized, allows for smoother insulin control and better fat release. Autophagy, the body's cellular cleanup system, is another casualty of poor protein timing. This process thrives when insulin is low and amino acids are scarce. It's your body's way of recycling damaged cells and renewing tissue. But even a small protein snack during your fasting period can halt autophagy almost immediately. The body senses incoming nutrients and stops cleaning to start building. So when you sip that innocent protein drink mid fast, you cancel the very cellular repair you were trying to trigger. People often ask, but isn't protein good for preserving muscle? Yes, but only when used strategically. The goal isn't to eat more protein, it's to eat it in the right rhythm. Your fast should clear, repair, and reset your metabolism. Then, when you do eat, protein should rebuild, not interrupt. If you scatter it throughout the day, or take it before your fast is complete, you blur the line between the two phases. Your body never fully cleans and never fully rebuilds. The simplest fix is this: break your fast slowly. Begin with fat or fiber, something that doesn't spike insulin. Then, after 30 to 60 minutes, introduce protein in a moderate amount. Let your body ease into refueling mode. This gentle transition keeps insulin steady and helps fat burning continue even after you eat. And during your eating window, avoid constant grazing. Have 1 or 2 intentional, protein-rich meals instead of scattered bites. That keeps your insulin rhythm predictable and your metabolism responsive. Protein is powerful when it's timed right. It builds muscle, supports recovery, and signals health. But mistimed or excessive protein does the opposite. It keeps insulin high, stops fat burning, and slows the cellular repair fasting was meant to activate. Once you correct the timing, no early snacking, no constant grazing, no protein overload, your fasting rhythm finally starts working again. The fat loss you were chasing with longer fasts begins to happen naturally, not because you're starving your body, but because you've finally stopped confusing it. The moment that changes everything in fasting isn't how long you go without food, it's how you reintroduce food when the fast ends. This is where most people lose momentum. They fast for 16, 18, sometimes even 24 hours. Then break that fast in a way that instantly reverses all the metabolic benefits they just worked for. The solution is simple but powerful. Delay protein until your fast is truly complete, then pair it with fat to keep insulin low and muscle protected. This small adjustment turns an average fast into a deeply fat-burning, muscle-preserving tool. Here's how it works. During fasting, your insulin drops and your body switches to using stored fat for energy. This is when autophagy kicks in, the cellular cleanup process that repairs damage and restores balance. But when you break your fast with protein too quickly, insulin rises sharply and autophagy shuts off. Your body suddenly shifts from cleaning mode to building mode. You want that transition, just not too fast and not too hard. That's where the protein timing trick comes in. When you end your fast, start with fat, something gentle, like a tablespoon of olive oil, a few bites of avocado, or a cup of coffee blended with butter or MCT oil. Fat barely affects insulin. It signals safety, calms hunger, and gives your body a smooth bridge between fasting and feeding. Think of it like slowly dimming the lights before turning them on. No shock, no sudden switch. This keeps your metabolism stable and prevents a cortisol insulin spike that can stall fat burning. After 30 to 60 minutes, once your body has adjusted to incoming calories, that's when you introduce protein, but not in excess. You want enough to trigger muscle repair, not enough to flood the system. A good starting point is 20-30 grams of high-quality protein, balanced with healthy fats and low-carb vegetables. That combination stabilizes blood sugar, slows digestion, and minimizes the insulin response. Your body absorbs the amino acids gradually, using them for repair without shutting off fat release entirely. For example, if you're following a 16-8 fasting rhythm, fasting for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour window, your first meal might be a small fat-based snack at hour 16. Then, about 30-60 minutes later, your main meal includes protein, fats, and fiber together. That delay makes all the difference. It keeps insulin low during the transition, extends the fat-burning window, and allows autophagy to finish its cleanup before switching into rebuilding mode. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm. You're teaching your body when to burn and when to build. Fasting does the burning, protein does the building, but if they overlap, you lose both benefits. Separating them just slightly keeps the process clean. Fat burning stays active longer, and protein gets used more efficiently for muscle repair. Pairing protein with fat also changes the hormonal response. When you eat fat alongside protein, the release of amino acids slows down. That means insulin rises more gently and for a shorter period. Instead of a sharp spike that halts fat burning for hours, you get a mild wave enough to build and protect muscle, but not enough to store fat. This is especially important for protecting lean tissue during long-term fasting. By keeping insulin controlled, you maintain your metabolic muscle and avoid the energy crash that often follows a protein-heavy meal. Visceral fat, the deep fat around your organs, is the most stubborn and dangerous kind. It's highly sensitive to insulin. That's why mastering protein timing is so powerful for getting rid of it. When insulin stays low longer, your body has time to reach those deeper fat reserves. They don't release energy easily, but under low insulin conditions, they finally start to open. Many people notice that once they delay protein and break their fast with fat first, their waistline starts changing even if their weight doesn't drop right away. That's a sign visceral fat is shrinking the real transformation. This rhythm works whether you're fasting 16 hours or 20. It's simple, repeatable, and sustainable. Fast, finish strong, break gently. Start with fat to keep insulin calm, then introduce protein in a balanced meal moderate portion, paired with fat and fiber. Avoid grazing, avoid constant snacking. Give your body space to finish burning before rebuilding. Fasting was never meant to be a game of willpower. It's a conversation with your metabolism, and timing is the language. Once you master when to bring protein back in, fasting starts to feel effortless. Your energy steadies, your hunger fades, your focus sharpens, and your body finally learns what it means to burn fat consistently. It's not about eating less, it's about eating smart, in a rhythm that keeps insulin quiet and your fat burning engine fully awake. When you finally get protein timing right, something subtle but powerful begins to shift. You wake up with steadier energy. The morning hunger that used to push you toward food disappears. Your brain feels sharper, not foggy. You can go longer between meals without willpower or struggle. It's as if your metabolism finally remembers what it's supposed to do: burn, not store. I've seen this transformation over and over again. A patient will come in, frustrated after months of fasting with no progress. They've done everything right: skipped meals, extended fasts, tracked macros, yet their belly fat refuses to budge. Then we tweak one small thing: the timing and structure of their protein. Within a week, they notice the difference. They're not ravenous at the end of their fast. Their energy lasts through the afternoon, and most tellingly, the scale starts to move again, not from water loss, but from true fat release. Here's what's really happening inside. When insulin stays low for long enough, fat cells open up and begin to release stored triglycerides. The liver converts those fats into ketones, a clean, burning fuel that powers both the brain and body. That's why mental focus improves and cravings fade. Ketones are stable fuel, unlike the spikes and crashes caused by glucose. But for this to happen consistently, insulin has to remain calm, and protein timing is the quiet lever that controls that insulin rhythm. When you delay protein until after your fast is complete, you extend that fat burning window. You allow your body to fully drain stored fuel before switching gears into rebuilding mode. Then, when you eat protein with fat, insulin rises gently, not sharply. That mild rise is enough to trigger muscle repair, the rebuilding phase, without flipping the metabolic switch back into storage. The result: you protect your lean muscle and continue burning fat even after your meal. This is what turns fasting from a short-term trick into a long-term lifestyle. The body learns how to transition smoothly between fasting and feeding. Instead of yo-yoing between burn and store, your metabolism finds a steady rhythm. Over time, this rhythm reshapes your body composition. You lose visceral fat, the deep, hidden fat that drives inflammation and insulin resistance while preserving or even gaining muscle. The scale might not drop dramatically at first, but your waistline shrinks, your energy rises, and your lab numbers improve. I think of one patient, a 52-year-old man who had fasted for months without success. He was stuck at the same weight and felt increasingly tired. His first meal after fasting was always a protein shake, clean, low carb, but too insulin stimulating. We changed his routine, fat first, then a balanced meal with moderate protein an hour later. In 2 weeks, his afternoon crashes disappeared. By 4 weeks, his waist dropped 2 inches. He wasn't fasting harder, he was fasting smarter. Another woman, in her 40s, had been doing 1 meal a day and couldn't lose another pound. She broke her fast with lean chicken and salad, thinking she was doing everything right. Her mistake was timing and composition. Once she delayed her protein and added healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, salmon, her hunger vanished. She stopped snacking entirely because she simply didn't need to. Her focus sharpened, her mood lifted, and within a month, her visceral fat scan showed measurable reduction. The only change was the rhythm of her protein. The visible signs of getting protein timing right are hard to miss. A slimmer waist, steady energy, glowing skin, fewer cravings. But the internal signs matter even more. Inflammation drops. Fasting blood sugar stabilizes. Sleep improves because cortisol calms down. Your mitochondria, those tiny engines in every cell, start producing energy more efficiently. You're no longer forcing your body to lose weight. You're allowing it to heal. When insulin is low and stable, your body trusts you again. It stops clinging to fat just in case. It releases stored energy willingly, and because muscle is now protected by proper protein timing, your metabolism no longer slows. You can eat, fast, move, and recover all without feeling depleted. This is what real metabolic freedom looks like. You're not chained to cravings or meal schedules. You don't panic if you miss a meal. Your energy isn't dependent on caffeine or snacks. Your body runs on its own clean rhythm, fasting to burn, protein to rebuild, insulin calm and steady. Once that balance locks in, fat loss becomes predictable, sustainable, and permanent. It's not a fight anymore. It's your body finally doing what it was designed to do: burn fat efficiently, protect muscle, and stay in balance day after day. You don't need longer fasts. You don't need stricter rules. What you need is rhythm, a simple, sustainable pattern that works with your biology, not against it. That's the real secret. Fasting stops feeling like a fight when you understand how to move with your body's natural cycles. And protein timing is the key that makes that rhythm effortless. When you finally learn to time your protein right, fasting no longer feels like deprivation. It feels like clarity. Your body knows when to burn, when to rebuild, when to rest, and when to refuel. You stop swinging between energy crashes and food cravings because your metabolism has direction again. You wake up knowing your body is already working in your favor, burning fat quietly in the background, keeping your mind sharp and your mood steady. This is the shift that turns a temporary challenge into a lifelong lifestyle. Fasting isn't something you go on and come off. It becomes part of your natural rhythm, just like sleeping and waking. You eat in windows that make sense for your life. You fuel your body with meals that keep insulin low and energy stable. And because you protect your muscle with properly timed protein, your metabolism stays strong no matter how long you fast. The beauty of this approach is that it adapts to you. Busy day ahead. You can push your first meal a little later. Need energy for a workout. You know how to reintroduce protein without crashing insulin. Traveling, stressed, or socializing. You don't have to panic because your body knows how to return to balance. You've trained it to do so. That's what metabolic flexibility really means, the ability to burn fat or fuel as needed, without drama or exhaustion. The mistake most people make is thinking success in fasting comes from intensity, longer fasts, stricter windows, more restriction. But the body doesn't respond to extremes, it responds to consistency. Small, repeatable wins build the foundation for long-term change. And when your insulin stays low and steady, every small win compounds. Your cravings fade, your sleep improves, your inflammation drops, and your energy becomes stable all day long. You don't force results, you live in them. I've watched patients go from frustrated and stalled to effortlessly thriving once they applied this one shift. The difference isn't that they found more discipline, it's that they found alignment. They finally stopped fighting hunger, fighting fatigue, fighting their biology. Instead, they started listening to it. Once insulin quiets down, the body speaks clearly. It tells you when to rest, when to eat, and when to move. That's the balance most people spend years chasing through diets and never find. Over time, this rhythm does more than burn, it repairs your relationship with food. You stop fearing meals, counting calories, or obsessing over macros. You eat with purpose and calm. You know that a well-timed protein meal won't stall progress, it will strengthen it. You trust that fasting isn't punishment, it's permission for your body to heal, and that trust changes everything. The physical transformation is only part of it. Yes, your waistline shrinks, your energy returns, and your focus sharpens, but deeper than that, you feel a sense of control again. You stop wondering why your body resists you. You stop guessing what to eat next. You move through your days with a quiet confidence that your body is doing what it's meant to, cleaning, healing, and burning efficiently. That's the fix for life, not another quick trick or 30-day reset, but a metabolic rhythm that supports you for decades. Fasting and protein timing become second nature, like brushing your teeth or sleeping at night. They work quietly in the background, keeping insulin stable, muscle strong, and fat burning active. Once you master protein timing, fasting becomes effortless. Your body stops fighting you and starts working with you. The fat that used to feel stuck begins to melt away, not through punishment, but through precision. You protect your muscle, stabilize your energy, and build a metabolism that serves you for life. You're no longer chasing health, you're living it, every single day, in rhythm with the way your body was designed to thrive.